I'm sure you read the title, and were wondering if I made this while under the influence. To that, my only response is, I wish. Socks are perhaps the least notable article of clothing. Never in my life have I gone outside and even thought about the socks of the person I'm talking to. This is because I have absolutely no reason to look downward when there's this cute little thing called eye contact, and yet people still made fun of me for wearing flip-flops in middle school. No, I will not let that trauma go. All that changes, however, in the mystical realm of anime. I remember an old friend back in high school sending me a video comparing thigh highs and leggings as if they were Dragon Balls. Needless to say, I thought it was hilarious. Then a few years later, another old friend sent me a video diving deep into anime socks. Now this was just something else. I didn't expect there to be multiple socks analysis videos on the internet. But all of that got me thinking, what are the best pairs of socks in anime? Just kidding. I've known the answer for years now, so it is now my civic duty to explain why Yui Hirasawa has the best socks in all of anime. Jesus fucking Christ, what is this video? Holy shit. Keion is one of my favorite anime of all time, and a big part of that has to do with the incredible character designs which all say so much about their characters. And of those characters, I think Yui has the best design. As she is the protagonist, she must look visually distinct, and her socks are what do that, as she is the only character to wear leggings. This fact doesn't seem all that significant until you realize that she's the only character in the series who starts out without any musical background. Yui's always characterized as a fish out of water finding her home on land, and this one visual distinction does a great job at showcasing that. But that's only how her socks work on a symbolic level. I've had a friend tell me that she likely wears them so that she doesn't have to shave her legs. On the surface, this sounds plausible given Yui's notoriously lazy personality, but I can verifiably prove this as false. The series makes it very clear that despite her personality, Yui is extremely conscious of her appearance. The most notable example is in Season 2, Episode 21, where the entire episode is dedicated to her trying to get the perfect haircut. Additionally, there is a scene in Season 2, Episode 17 that goes over the careful planning Yui brings into her morning routine, something she'll casually mention in certain episodes as well. If that wasn't enough evidence though, the times where we see her legs should be the most evident. The obvious examples are the beach episodes, along with Season 2, Episode 11, where she needs to cool herself down under the summer heat, and Season 2, Episode 6, where her leggings are rained on. The latter is an especially important moment for one key reason. If Yui's leggings are meant to symbolize her being out of place, then it wouldn't exactly make sense for her to keep them after Season 1, Episode 12, where a huge step of her character arc is complete and she's fully integrated herself with the other characters. That's why I find Season 2, Episode 6 to be so notable. While the focus of the episode is primarily on Yui's love for her guitar, we also gain insight into how important her leggings are, and how they help shape her identity, to the point where she clearly can't stand not being able to wear them. The reason for this is generally accepted to be personal preference and comfort related, something which can be backed up by literally every time we see Yui outside of her school uniform. Yui's fashion sense is generally quite plain. She either wears a simple t-shirt look, or she'll occasionally rock some overalls. In the wintertime, she wears the typical gear you'd expect, although it's noteworthy to mention that one of her gloves was a gift from her sister Ui in Season 1, Episode 7. My favorite scene revolving around Yui's everyday apparel has to be when she finds a Neo t-shirt in Season 2, Episode 9 that everyone collectively sighs at, and Yui buys it anyway, only to be seen wearing that same t-shirt in the next episode. I absolutely adore the absurd attention to detail that went into this series. It's genuinely astonishing. That attention to detail doesn't just stop at Yui, however, as I find her little sister Ui to have an equally great design. As Ui and Yui are so close in age, they have very similar appearances, which lead to constant comparisons between the two. As a result, Yui distinguishes herself through her hairpin, while Ui does so with her ponytail. On the surface, these design elements seem as simple as allowing the audience to tell them apart, but they mean so much more than that, as they say so much about Ui's character in particular. As their parents are almost never around the house, it caused Ui to pick up the slack and dedicate her life to giving Yui the best one she could offer. Much of why Yui acts so impulsively and lazily is because of the way Ui coddles her. While most people in Ui's position would be resentful or embarrassed by what they helped influence, Ui instead has a deep love, respect, and admiration toward Yui. Many times in the series, she speaks of how Yui always feels one step ahead of her, that she'll always be on the run to catch up with her. Every time another character hears this, you can tell that they don't really get what she means, even if they still console her over it. I didn't either, until I remembered what I love so much about Yui. Yui may be lazy, stupid, and impulsive, but she's a living well of many other admirable traits. Yui is kind, affectionate, friend-oriented, and most importantly, completely confident with who she is. Even though Ui gets way more compliments throughout the series for her greater competence, kindness, and capability, she can't lighten up the mood the same way Yui can. Yui may be flawed, but she also doesn't care that she's flawed, as long as she's doing her best to be a good person. This is an aspect of her character that Ui understands more than anyone else, and I think Ui's ponytail is meant to symbolize how she's unable to reach that inspiring level of self-actualization that her sister can. Every time that Ui tries to replicate Yui, something about it always feels off, and that's exactly the reason why. Granted, as Ui is not a central character, we never got to see this arc conclude. In my opinion, the most logical place for it to have ended would have been for her to realize that she should instead try to embrace the aspects of herself that her friends love so much, instead of trying to chase a ghost. If so, I think that would have been the perfect way for her to keep her ponytail, as even if Ui is one of the less talked about characters of Keion, she's still an incredibly well written and realized character with an excellent design to boot. But why are these character designs so important to me? Even if I've convinced you of Yui having the greatest socks in all of anime, then why does it matter? In the beginning of the video, I mentioned how I'd always worn flip-flops in my teenage years. I wasn't a believer in socks, as they're frankly uncomfortable and cumbersome to wear. Chances are it's an autistic sensory thing for me, but that's not super important. I remember when I was 13, I had a very distinct memory where I was made fun of in math class for how I'd always worn flip-flops. I got very defensive over it, and it resulted in my teacher telling me that I should wear normal shoes instead. As I am stubborn, I didn't take this advice, and everything went on as normal. As the years went by, however, I started to become a bigger and bigger fan of anime. As Keion is one of my favorite anime, I would rewatch it many times in high school. It was through becoming enamored by Yui's socks that I decided that maybe I should be just a little bit more normal. As a result, the time did come where I'd start wearing socks to school. I had traded a unique aspect of myself to become a little more resistant toward the vicious remarks of my classmates. If you've made it this far, however, then you should know full well that my teenage self misunderstood what Yui was trying to do through her socks. As she wore leggings, it made every time she'd walk into school one where she'd be showing off a unique aspect of what makes her special. I didn't pick up on this until after I graduated high school. Of course, every job I've gotten has had a dress code, but outside of work, I've chosen to accept being myself, just a little bit. This is to say that if you're in high school, it may be hard to be like Yui and embrace yourself for who you are, but that it does get a little easier in adulthood. When I wrote the video, I assumed I'd be writing it as a joke, given how inherently stupid the subject matter is, but this one little design feature of a character really does do that good of a job at showcasing why I look up to Yui. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed. She lacks effort, motivation, and intelligence, and yet I look up to her because she doesn't care about what we think of her. Whether or not people like her, she will always be herself. And that's why Yui has the best socks in anime, a character design so good that it can tell you all you need to know about this wonderful character. So, this is the video of all time, This was a video that I started writing as a joke about 2 years ago, but decided to pick up on a whim because I thought it sounded funny. For the video to be less comedic than I was expecting is indicative of how I try to find meaning in the weirdest places imaginable. Even so, taking such an unserious idea so seriously is actually quite fun, so I might try a joke concept like this again. This month is actually rather significant to me, because 3 years ago, at the age of 16, I deemed February Keion month, a month that I talk exclusively about Keion. I never brought the idea back, but given how this video was in my backlog, I figured it'd be cute to give tribute to my old self. My old videos are very bad, but I think they're a cute reminder of who I used to be, so I very much enjoy acknowledging that past. But if you want to see those videos, then you can do so through my Patreon. Donations may seem small, but they help me more than you'd think. In that case, I want to thank my wonderful Phantom tier patrons Mystic Owl, Jesse, and Squizzy, and my Confidant tier patrons Regimania and Eternum. If you want to add your name to the list, as well as get plenty of other benefits such as a private Discord server, over 300 scratch video ideas, 500 unlisted videos, early access to my videos, previews of upcoming videos, and my entire Google Drive, you can find it on Patreon. I also have a final tier that no one's bought yet, so perhaps you could be the first name there. While donations are the best way to keep the channel going, views, likes, and comments help a ton as well. No matter which one of these people you happen to be, I thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you all next time.